So the first step is to search for a design. So I'm going to go to the template section and look for a design by its name. I know a design that I use from time to time, and I know that the title includes Power of Clarity. I hit enter to confirm, and there it is. You see, that's the one. And when you hover over it, it scrolls through the 6 pages. It's a carousel. You could use it, for example, for Instagram. I've added it to my favorites, and logically, I've also put it in the folder of designs I use. I've organized it into a folder. We're going to click on it and select Customize this template. So automatically, it opens a new tab with the design below. You see, we have all the pages. Here there are 6 pages. So the goal is to apply gradients. The first thing we can do, which is classic, is to apply a gradient to the background. So if I click on the corner of the background, I've selected it, and I click on the color, background color, and then we have access to the colors. I have my brand colors, the colors used in the document, and at the bottom, as you can see, there are the gradients. So I can apply default gradients. You see, if I click, there you go, I have this gradient, that gradient, there are already some gradients available. We can click on See All, and then we have access to more gradients. You see, there are cool colors, for example, warm colors that are a bit more organized, and there are some more complex gradients as well. The downside is that you can't change the angle, for example, or fine-tune the colors. We don't have control over these variables. We can't change the colors. That's the drawback. Note that when you change the background and there are multiple pages, it automatically suggests applying the gradient to all the pages. If I click Change All, it automatically applies the background to every page, which is really convenient if you have a presentation or a carousel, for example. You see, it applies it to all the other pages. It's the same principle as the colors we already saw. So I'm going back to a solid color. The second solution, which is a bit more flexible, is to go to the elements, and in the elements, we're going to ask for gradients. So for example, I'm going to ask for a gradient. Now you can specify the color of the gradient, which will help you. If I select blue gradient, you see it offers me different gradients. So in the categories, it's best to go to photos, because with graphics, the problem is that they're limited in terms of dimensions. For example, if I add this frame, you see I'm limited to a square. We're limited to the shape of the graphic. So that's not very practical. It's best to go to photos. If we go to photos, it's going to be much more flexible. You see this gradient here, which is nice. So if I click, what's great is that you can adjust the dimensions. You can adjust the dimensions, which is very convenient. So when you want to apply it as a background, the fastest way is to right-click and select Replace Background. It will automatically apply the image as the background. So you see, it really sets a mood here. Now we have a nice design. The downside is that what I just did doesn't automatically apply to all pages. So I'll have to copy and paste, Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V, and apply the change to each page. It's not a big deal if there aren't many pages. For a carousel, for example, or a small presentation. Now, if I right-click and detach the image, you see the image, we have the color here, and I can change the color. So that's the advantage. We have control over the color. You see, that's the point. You see, we can have more complex gradients with lighting effects. You see, this one is nice. I can change the color, have control over the color and the mood. Here I have more girly colors. So this is an effective solution. Gradients are also great for creating light gradients. So I can ask for white transparent gradients, for example. There you go. If I click, you see, it will add an element that's transparent on the side, for example. That will create a lighting effect. Here, I can right-click, Layer, Send to Back to move it to the background, and I have a lighting effect. Then it's up to you to find the right lighting effect. You see here we have some nice lighting effects. Same for shadows. If I type shadow and press enter, you see, we'll get some interesting effects and some interesting shadow effects. For example, this one. You see, it gives the text a bit of a 3D effect, so you have lots of possibilities. After that, you can simply type shadow, or more specifically, drop shadow. You see, we can add some nice shadows, for example, this one. I right-click, go to Layer, Send to Back, we'll make it bigger. And you see, I have some cool shadow effects that I can also add underneath. So you can select an element, and you have the gradient that can be applied. Note that for text, the gradient can't be applied directly. You need to use applications for that. Do you remember the Apps section? Otherwise, we go into the elements and search for gradients like this. We get a list of gradients, but it's better to go to the photo section because that's where the gradient can really be adjusted in terms of color and size, and then you can assign it to the background with a right click or position it however you want. That's how you use gradients with Canva.